Hi again. So this is a reflection on lesson 180 in A Course in Miracles. This is our last of the review of 20 prior lessons before we go into some new lessons. And this is the last time I'm going to say, God is but love and therefore so am I. Who knows, maybe I'll say it again, but that's the repeating thing for the last review, all of the reviews we've had. God is but love and therefore so am I. And then this is a review of lesson 169 that says, by grace I live, by grace I am released. And 170, there is no cruelty in God and none in me. So I just in the last lesson, literally, because I'm doing both these reflections in one day. So 179, I talked about grace, how that's like allowing whatever's showing up to be here and to give ourselves what we never had. I didn't go into that piece. Maybe I'll go into that piece now. So by grace I live, by grace I am released, and there is no cruelty in God and none in me. I'm going to switch places again. We'll sit right here again. So by grace I live, by grace I am released. So I think about this, just to expand on the idea of grace that I talked about in lesson 179, that's allowing all this stuff to be here. For me, the way I've really practiced it, that seems to have had a more profound, like, oh, I really understand grace as a concept or as a feeling, is when I can give myself, first of all, recognize what is showing up in my body. It's usually an expression of something. It's like an old pattern, perhaps. Could be a thought, emotion, body sensation, whatever's showing up. It's usually a combination of those things. To say it's an old pattern. Like, oh, this is familiar. Oh, this cycle of feeling that triggers an emotion, that triggers thoughts, like they're all, or, in any order. It's like a pattern that's repeating. Is at some point, if I really look at it honestly, it's something that my system did to self-soothe, self-protect, self-nurture. When there was a point, whenever this pattern emerged, there was a point at which I didn't get something that I needed, right? Like, if you're a psychology person, it's like internal family system stuff. Like these parts of us that we can, and I'm not a psychologist, so again, take that with a grain of salt, like do your own research if you haven't heard of that, but I just pick up nuggets of what's interesting to me, and the part of IFS or internal family system or parts work is, okay, here's a pattern, this is familiar, let's really look at it honestly. And that's the grace part, is the turning toward versus like, well, let's keep distracting from it. I don't want to feel this. Let's go do something else, whatever my distractions are. But turning toward it, it's like, okay, what do you need? What can I give me? What can I give you in this moment? And then feel into that. And that's grace. Is saying like, oh, it's okay, you didn't get that when there was a point when you were more vulnerable, like physically, emotionally, all of this, that usually a caretaker would have given you. Could have been comfort, could have been something physical, could have been acknowledgement, something that you didn't get in a moment when you needed it. And it's just some sort of maybe protection from something that was scary or potentially harmful or whatever it was. And so parts of us built up something, some behavior, some thought pattern, something to protect from that thing. And so when that pattern keeps emerging, it's like, wait a minute, let's look at it, and that's grace. Let's say, what do you need? And that's grace. And then giving it to ourselves, that's grace. It's powerful stuff, and you can do it yourself or with somebody else, but it is possible to do it yourself. at least for some things. I probably not everything. I don't know. Some things are probably too big and hard to look at. But for the ones you can look at honestly and just extend that compassion. That's another word for grace, I think, is this self-compassion to say, you didn't know better. You were vulnerable. You should have been taken care of. And what do you need? And then to give that to the self. It could be like, you are loved. You are safe. You are wanted. I see you. You know, whatever you need to say to yourself. So I practice that sometimes when I feel these like, oh, there's an old pattern again. It's very familiar. Like when a sense, if I'm really doing it like honestly and truthfully, and I look at it and I feel something inside, and I'm like, that's a familiar feeling. Like when this situation in my life happens, these sensations emerge, these thought patterns, these behaviors, this urge to distract, whatever. And then it's like, if I'm if I'm ready to do the work instead of distract, then it's like, okay, what is this wanting? It wants to be acknowledged in some way. So anyway, that's a long-winded way to say, go deeper into the grace thing I was talking about in lesson 179. And I think the other one was about cruelty, and it's like, there is no cruelty warranted for in any situation. Like, even if someone's cruel to me, I don't feel like cruelty is warranted in return. What does that do? It just validates the other person's use of cruelty. It's just a cycle that perpetuates. It's like, I don't believe in that whole eye for an eye thing or whatever. Or even the death penalty. Like, yeah, some things are pretty horrific, but does it warrant the perpetuation of cruelty? I don't believe so. There are other ways to turn around and show, because that person's just hurting. They're just hurting from something, like we just talked about. Like, they didn't get something they needed, and their self-protection response was to do cruel things, perhaps. So anyway, even in the most cruel of circumstances, I don't think cruelty is warranted in return. It just spreads more cruelty in the world. Like, it just if you break it down to logic, it just doesn't make sense. Like, usually I think of antidotes a lot, and I know I've talked about it on here. Like, what does something really require? Usually the opposite element, right, to neutralize something. It needs something different in order to neutralize something. It doesn't need more of the same. That amplifies. I'm thinking, like, I don't even know chemistry. I'm talking like I do. But that's what I mean. It's like, so what would happen if you sense cruelty? What's the opposite of that? Probably some compassion, love, and joy. Like, cruel people, they don't, like, the people, and it's not cruel people, it's like cruel behaviors, right? I don't think you can label a person as an emotion or as a behavior. So it's like, people being cruel or expressing cruelty are probably hurting. So what can you do to soothe that hurt? Even if the cruelty was directed at you, it's not personal. It's what they're dealing. It's all about them. So we cannot take it personally, which is hard. That's the hard part. Oh, that's the hard part. Then we can see, wait, what does that person need? What can I do to inject an antidote into this situation to stop the perpetuation of cruelty? Even if it's not about that person, it's about how can I stop suffering in the world? How can I do my little part? Is to neutralize that with some antidote. I don't know. It's like, I like to think of things like that sometimes when it's hard to go directly to the compassion for that person. It's like, well, let's at least stop some suffering somehow. If not for them, then for whoever they may come into contact with. And then this whole thing about the cruelty of this lesson, I turned it into like, where my head went was like, what would even warrant cruelty? Like, I'm not going to just inject it out of nothing. And I thought about, well, maybe it's if I felt it coming at me. But even then, no. So that's where I went with that. It was like, if I feel cruelty outside of me, what would I do about it? Because I don't feel innately like it's going to come from me. At least I would hope not. Like, why would I feel the need to be cruel? I don't know. I just don't. Now, I just don't. Maybe at one point in my life, but so I don't know. If you feel the need to be cruel, it's probably like, well, go back to that grace thing. Like, what was it that you needed? Because I know in the past I've been cruel, and it was, I'm pretty sure I have. What was I missing that I really needed? So I think these are also intertwined. I would go back to the grace thing again. What do I need? If I'm feeling the need to be cruel, don't perpetuate it. Just stop. Just direct some compassion inward. That's maybe what I would do. So that's what I got for these lessons. It's the last of our review of 20. So tomorrow we go into some new ones again. I'm excited.